My wife and best friend had an affair in my company, used business funds for hotel stays, then tried to paint me as the bad guy. I met Tom during our college days at a tech startup event. We instantly clicked over our shared passion for innovative technology solutions. After graduation, we both took corporate jobs but kept dreaming about starting our own company. We spent countless weekends brainstorming ideas and planning our future venture. 5 years ago, we finally took the plunge. I sold my car, emptied my savings account, and even borrowed money from my parents to invest in our startup. Tom also put in his savings, though it was less than what I contributed since he had some family obligations. We didn't care about the uneven investment because we trusted each other completely. The first 2 years were incredibly challenging. We worked from my garage, took no salary, and lived on ramen noodles. But we believed in our product, a specialized software solution for small businesses. Tom handled sales and marketing while I managed the technical development. Slowly, we started gaining clients and built a solid reputation in the industry. I met Jenny at a client's office where she worked as an HR manager. We dated for a year before getting married. Tom was my best man and gave a touching speech about our friendship and how happy he was to welcome Jenny into our family. When our company grew enough to need an HR department 3 years ago, Jenny was the obvious choice to lead it. She had the experience and understood our company culture. Looking back, that decision changed everything. The first signs of trouble appeared about 6 months ago. Jenny started working late more often, saying she needed to handle sensitive HR issues. She became very protective of her phone and would quickly lock it whenever I came near. At first, I thought she was just being professional about employee confidentiality. Tom and Jenny began having frequent closed-door meetings in his office. Sometimes these meetings would last for hours. When I asked about them, they said they were working on updating company policies and handling employee complaints. It seemed reasonable since we were growing fast and needed better HR processes. I noticed other small changes too. Jenny stopped sharing details about her day with me. She started dressing differently for work and wearing more makeup. She joined a gym but always went at odd hours. When I suggested working out together, she said she preferred going alone to de-stress. Then came the business trips. Tom and Jenny had to attend several HR conferences together since I was too busy with product development. They would share pictures of team dinners and group activities on our company Slack channel. Everything looked professional, but something felt off about their interactions. Last month, I had to visit a major client in another state. The meetings went well and we wrapped up early, so I decided to fly back home a day earlier to surprise Jenny. I reached the office around 7 p.m., expecting to find her working late as usual. The main office was empty but I noticed light coming from under Tom's office door. I heard muffled laughter as I approached. Not wanting to interrupt if they were in a meeting, I knocked softly. There was sudden movement and whispered voices. After what seemed like minutes, Tom opened the door looking flushed. Jenny was sitting at his desk, her hair messy and lipstick smudged. The room smelled of perfume and the blinds were drawn. My world shattered in that moment. The two people I trusted most had betrayed me in the worst possible way. When confronted, they didn't even try hard to deny it. Jenny said she had developed feelings for Tom over the past year. She claimed I was emotionally unavailable, always focused on work and coding. According to her, Tom really saw her and appreciated her. Tom tried to apologize but also suggested I had pushed them together by neglecting Jenny. He had the nerve to say they hadn't planned for this to happen. It just evolved naturally during all their time working closely together. He even suggested we could work past this and keep running the company as before. I asked Jenny to move out that night. She went to stay with a friend and is now demanding alimony even though we've only been married 4 years. She's also threatening to sue the company for creating a hostile work environment if we try to fire her. She claims she's the victim of workplace retaliation. Tom is playing hardball with the business too. He refuses to sell his share or buy me out at market value. He knows I invested more money initially but legally we're equal partners. He's been telling employees and clients that I'm letting personal issues cloud my professional judgment. Most of our 50-plus employees are shocked by what happened. Many have worked with us since the garage days and feel personally betrayed. Some have told me privately they'll quit if Jenny continues as HR manager. But others think we should all be adults about it and keep personal issues separate from work. The company culture I worked so hard to build is falling apart. Every management meeting is tense and awkward. Employees have started taking sides, forming gossip groups, and productivity is dropping. Meanwhile, Tom acts like nothing happened and Jenny keeps trying to have civil conversations about making this work. I've consulted 3 lawyers so far. They all say untangling the business side will be complex and expensive since we didn't have proper agreements in place. We were best friends starting a company, we never imagined needing protection from each other. My parents are furious and want me to fight them both legally. My brother offered to loan me money for legal fees. But I worry a messy court battle could destroy everything we built. Several key employees have already updated their LinkedIn profiles, probably preparing to jump ship. I feel trapped and betrayed. The company I built from scratch has become a prison where I have to face my wife's and best friend's betrayal every day. I'm sleeping badly, losing weight, and struggling to focus on work. But I refuse to let them push me out of my own company. Update 1, 2 weeks later. The last 2 weeks have been absolute hell. Jenny finally moved all her stuff out of our house last weekend. I stayed at my brother's place during the move because I couldn't bear to watch her pack up our life together. My brother supervised the whole thing to make sure she only took what belonged to her. While helping clean up afterward, my brother found a stack of receipts hidden in a shoe box at the back of our closet. There were hotel bills, restaurant receipts, and spa charges dating back over 8 months. Some were from hotels just 15 minutes from our house. They had been meeting for secret dates right under my nose all this time. What made me sick was realizing these expenses were charged to the company account. They coded everything as client meetings or team building events. There were even receipts from that HR conference 6 months ago. They had booked connecting rooms while telling me they were in separate rooms on different floors to save money. I confronted Tom about the receipts the next day at work. He tried to deny it at first, but finally admitted their affair started during a company off-site retreat last year. I had missed that retreat because my father was in the hospital. Apparently, they had been flirting for months before that, but used the retreat as an opportunity to take things further. The more I learn, the more their past behavior makes sense. All those times Jenny complained about having a headache when I wanted to be intimate, all the work emergencies that made her miss family events, all the late-night policy meetings with Tom, they were laughing at my stupidity behind my back. Jenny is still coming to work every day like nothing happened. She dresses professionally, handles HR matters efficiently, and maintains a calm demeanor. But she's been having private meetings with female employees, especially the newer ones. Through office gossip, I learned she's telling everyone her side of the story. According to her version, I was an emotionally distant workaholic who neglected her needs. She claims she tried to communicate with me, but I was always too busy with code. She portrays Tom as someone who listened and supported her through her emotional isolation. Some people are actually buying this narrative. The real shock came when Lisa, one of our project managers, quit yesterday. She's been with us since the early days and was one of our most valuable employees. In her exit interview, she said she couldn't work in an environment where the HR manager sleeps with leadership. 5 other employees have updated their resumes on LinkedIn. Tom has been doing damage control his own way. He called 3 of our major investors last week, painting me as unstable and vindictive. He suggested my emotional state might harm the company and that they should consider backing him as sole CEO. 2 investors called me expressing concerns about the company's stability. After the 3rd investor call, I finally snapped. I called an all-hands meeting and told everyone the truth. I showed them the timeline of receipts proving Tom and Jenny's deception. I explained how they used company money to fund their affair. I laid out how they're now trying to push me out of my own company. The reaction was mixed. Most employees were disgusted by Tom and Jenny's behavior, especially the misuse of company funds. But a small group, mainly Tom's sales team, defended them. They argued that workplace romances are common and suggested I was being vindictive. One sales guy even said I should be man enough to handle it. The stress is really getting to me. I've lost 12 pounds in 2 weeks. I wake up at 3 a.m. every night with anxiety attacks. My brother wants me to see a doctor, but I can't show any weakness right now. Tom would use that against me with the investors. I've stopped attending management meetings with Tom. Everything goes through email now, which I copy to my lawyer. We only speak when absolutely necessary for client issues. The tension in the office is unbearable. Even the lunchroom has divided into pro-Tom and pro-me camps. Jenny tried to corner me in the parking lot yesterday. She was crying, saying she never meant to hurt me and that she still cares about me. She claims she and Tom are genuinely in love and asked me to find it in my heart to forgive them. I just walked away. Her tears might work on others, but I keep remembering those hotel receipts. My lawyer says we need to be strategic. Firing Jenny would likely trigger a lawsuit, which could scare away investors. Buying out Tom would be expensive and he's unlikely to agree to a fair price. Meanwhile, our biggest product launch of the year is approaching and the development team is behind schedule because of all the drama. I never imagined my life would turn into this corporate soap opera. The company I built from nothing has become a battlefield. My marriage is over. My best friend is now my enemy. Half my employees are updating their resumes. And I have to somehow keep this ship afloat while fighting a war on all fronts. Update 2, 1 month later. Last week changed everything when I received an anonymous email from someone claiming to be a former employee at Tech Pro Solutions, where Tom and Jenny worked before joining my company. The email said this wasn't the first time they'd done this, they had an affair at Tech Pro too, which ended with Jenny leaving her then husband Mark. I spent several days investigating this lead. Through LinkedIn, I found and reached out to some former Tech Pro employees. Most ignored me, but one agreed to talk. Sarah, their former office manager, filled me in on the whole story. Jenny was married to her college sweetheart Mark and had been at Tech Pro for 3 years when Tom joined as sales director. According to Sarah, Tom and Jenny started getting close during company events. They had the same pattern, late night meetings, business trips together, hushed conversations that stopped when others entered the room. Mark apparently had no idea. He would drop off lunch for Jenny at work, bring her coffee in the mornings, and attend all company events to support her. Everyone at Tech Pro felt horrible for him. He was completely devoted to Jenny while she was sneaking around with Tom. The affair came out when Mark surprised Jenny at work for their anniversary and found her with Tom in the conference room. The fallout was huge. Jenny filed for divorce the next week and moved in with Tom. But 3 months later, Tom broke things off once office gossip got too intense. He claimed it was damaging his professional reputation. This explains why they both suddenly left Tech Pro around the same time. Jenny was heartbroken and humiliated. Tom started looking for new opportunities, which is when he reconnected with me. When Jenny showed up later for the HR position at our company, Tom had assured me hiring her wouldn't be awkward since they barely knew each other from Tech Pro. When I confronted Jenny with this information, she broke down completely. Through tears, she admitted everything. She said after her divorce, she went through a deep depression. When Tom reached out 2 years later saying he'd made a mistake and still had feelings for her, she believed him. He pursued her after she joined our company, promising things would be different this time. I took all this information to our board of directors, including evidence of their pattern of workplace misconduct. The board was deeply concerned about potential liability issues. What if Jenny's ex-husband went public with the story? What if other employees sued for hostile work environment? Our company's reputation could be ruined. The board called an emergency meeting last Friday. Tom tried to do damage control by announcing that he and Jenny were in love and planning to get married. He claimed they wanted to handle things professionally this time and build a life together. The board wasn't impressed, especially after learning about their history of workplace affairs. The board suggested either Tom or I should step down to protect the company. They're concerned about the impact on employee morale, client relationships, and our upcoming funding round. We're currently negotiating terms, but Tom is demanding a much larger payout than his shares are worth. Meanwhile, 3 more employees quit this week. Our productivity has tanked. The development team is missing deadlines because they're distracted by all the drama. Client calls keep getting rescheduled because no one wants to work with Tom's team anymore. Jenny has stopped coming to the office, claiming she's working remotely due to a hostile environment. She's hired a lawyer who's threatening to sue for emotional distress and workplace harassment. The lawyer sent a letter claiming I'm retaliating against her for falling in love with Tom. I've had several sleepless nights thinking about how I missed all the signs. Tom and Jenny played me perfectly. They used my trust and friendship to hide their affair, just like they did to Jenny's ex-husband at Tech Pro. I was so focused on building the company that I didn't see what was happening right in front of me. The hardest part is facing my employees every day. They all know the story now, how their HR manager cheated on her first husband with Tom, how Tom dumped her when it got messy, and how they repeated the same pattern at our company. Some people look at me with pity, others with judgment for not seeing it sooner. I'm meeting with the board again next week to discuss next steps. My lawyer thinks we have a strong case if it goes to court, especially with the Tech Pro evidence. But litigation would be expensive and time-consuming. Plus, dirty laundry like this could scare away potential investors or buyers. I need to decide if fighting them is worth potentially destroying everything I've built. Update 3, 3 months later, the situation finally reached its conclusion, though not quite how I expected. After our last board meeting, they hired an external consulting firm to review our company culture and conduct a thorough investigation of recent events. What they uncovered was far worse than anyone anticipated. The consultants interviewed current and former employees, reviewed email communications, and analyzed company expenses. They discovered Tom had a pattern of inappropriate behavior with several female employees. 2 former employees came forward saying they'd felt pressured by Tom to go on dates with him, but had been afraid to report it to HR since Jenny was clearly on his side. The investigation also uncovered that Tom had been secretly meeting with our competitors. Email records showed he'd been sharing proprietary information while trying to secure a position for himself and Jenny at a rival company. He was essentially trying to force me out while setting up his own exit strategy. When presented with this evidence, the board immediately asked Tom to resign. He tried to fight it, threatening to sue for wrongful termination. But when the board mentioned a potential criminal investigation into his misuse of company funds and sharing of trade secrets, he quickly changed his tune. After 2 weeks of negotiations, Tom agreed to sell his stake in the company. The final settlement was much lower than what he'd initially demanded, given the evidence against him. Jenny quit the next day without any formal announcement. I heard through office gossip that they moved to Seattle together, where Tom apparently had another job lined up. The aftermath has been challenging but necessary. We've completely restructured our management team and brought in a new HR director with extensive experience in corporate ethics. We implemented strict policies about workplace relationships and created better reporting systems for employee concerns. Most of Tom's sales team left with him, but honestly, that's been a blessing in disguise. The new people we've hired are more focused on building long-term client relationships rather than just closing quick deals like Tom's team did. Our revenue took a hit initially but has been steadily recovering. The hardest part was rebuilding trust with our employees. I've made a point of being more transparent about company decisions and encouraging open communication. We have regular town halls now where everyone can voice their concerns without fear of retaliation. On a personal level, I'm still processing everything. My divorce from Jenny was finalized last month. I kept our house and she didn't contest it, probably because she's living with Tom now. Some mutual friends told me they've already started planning their wedding, which honestly just makes me pity their next victims. Looking back, I can see how naive I was to trust them both so completely. Mixing friendship, marriage, and business created a perfect storm that nearly destroyed everything I built. But I'm actually stronger for having gone through this. The company is more professional now, with proper structures and policies in place. I recently heard that Jenny's ex-husband Mark is now happily remarried with twins on the way. Somehow that news gave me hope. Life does go on after betrayal, and sometimes things work out for the better. I'm focused on growing the company and learning from this experience rather than letting it embitter me. The company is doing well enough now that we're planning to expand into new markets next year. I've learned some hard lessons about keeping professional boundaries and not letting personal relationships cloud business judgment. While I wouldn't wish this experience on anyone, I'm grateful for the wisdom it's given me.